I was reading The Courage to be Disliked recently. It's a brilliant book. It's essentially a distillation of Adlerian psychology. Alfred Adler was a 20th century Viennese psychiatrist who broke from the deterministic psychoanalytic view of Sigmund Freud, where Freud argued that our life situation, outlook, and character are determined by the events of our past. Adler advanced the idea that one's past is irrelevant, that it is one's choices in the present that determines one's life situation. One of Adler's most controversial ideas was that trauma does not exist. He writes, "No experience is in itself a cause of our success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, the so-called trauma, but instead we make out of them whatever suits our purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self-determining." The part I want to focus on here is this notion that we make out of things whatever suits our purposes. One of the chapters in The Courage to be Disliked is titled "People Fabricate Anger." It states that people can absolutely control their emotions, that when we display emotions, anger in the case of this chapter, we make a decision to express them. A conscious decision is made to express emotions. And we are not as beholden to our emotions as we may think. An example from the book is this. One day a mother and daughter were quarrelling loudly, then suddenly the telephone rang. "Hello," the mother picked up the receiver hurriedly, her voice still thick with anger. The caller was her daughter's homeroom teacher. As soon as the mother realised who was phoning, the tone of her voice changed and she became very polite. Then, for the next 5 minutes or so, she carried on a conversation in her best telephone voice. Once she hung up, in a moment, her expression changed again and she went straight back to yelling at her daughter. So this example is meant to demonstrate that anger is a tool that we leverage as opposed to something that we have no control over. A tool that we leverage to achieve the ends that we desire. When I was younger, I was on a reality TV show called The Island with Bear Grylls, and we lived on an island for a month, and before we went on we were trained how to dispatch animals essentially. So if we caught any animals on the island, we were trained how to catch them and kill them before we went on. And I remember them bringing in an alligator and a pig and a turkey, the kind of animals that might inhabit the island. And at one point, one of the pigs was there eating grass. And one of us went over and grabbed the pig because the leader wanted to show us how we would have to kill it if we found one. And the second someone picked up the pig, it just started squealing like mad. And so the person put it down. And within a split second, it went back to munching grass. And obviously it's different because the argument made by Adler here is that it's a conscious kind of decision by human beings to leverage emotions, and with an animal it might not be as self-aware, but it was just interesting to think of that switch that can be flicked. So the animal in a way was using a certain emotion to its own ends, maybe to cause fear in the person that had grabbed it, or whatever that may be, but essentially it can't have been that scared, because otherwise some fear would surely have remained when it was put down, but it didn't. It just went back to just being totally calm and enjoying eating the grass. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy the video, please subscribe. I'll put a link to my blog and my Instagram in the caption.